Welcome everyone. Thanks to all participants today and to our sponsor area, the Economic Research Institute for ASEAN and East Asia. The Asia Network is the digital community of thought, business, and young leaders. We discuss topics centered on building tech for a better world while supporting the UN Sustainable Development Goals such as climate action, gender equality, and youth empowerment. For our webinar today, we are happy to welcome our guest speakers from Indonesia, Singapore, and the Philippines. They will share their experience and expertise in their countries related to health and technology. At the end, we'll have a Q&A session, so please feel free to write your question in the chat box. Let me introduce you to our first speaker from Indonesia. Gigih Septianto is the co-founder and CEO of WeCare.id, an Indonesian-based medical crowdfunding platform that enables underserved patients to secure funding for medical procedures. Through his work, Gigih has been awarded with many recognitions such as the Obama Foundation Leaders Asia Pac 2019, Genti Asia Tatler, and Australia ASEAN Energy Emerging Leaders in Social Enterprise. He's passionate about helping people attain a better quality of life by improving their mental and physical health. Welcome, Gigih. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Afrindra, and thank you, everyone, for having me. And it's a pleasure to share here, and hopefully we'll give you a lot of insight about what's happening in Indonesia in terms of healthcare industry. And we look forward to discuss more. So let me share my screen here. All right. So yeah, is it possible? Is it visible already? Can you see the presentations?
Very good.
Very good. Okay. Let me know if I exceed my time. Just shout if I'm not opening my browsers. I open my presentation, so I don't see if it's the time exceeded or not. So okay. So WeCare.id. So we are actually a medical crowdfunding platform. So what we do is that we help people to fundraise for the medical needs that they cannot afford. So my name is Gigih, and I spent becoming a prior to WeCare.id, I was a software engineer and also tech consultant, helping clients developing their mobile applications. But there is this kind of burning patience and curiosity inside me that I want to contribute my expertise to social good. So that's why I started WeCare.id in 2018. And a part of my work, I also love hiking and also do something that make my mental health healthy. So looking forward to travel to another Southeast Asian country and traveling with all of you. So the story, I think, start during my childhood. So perhaps this is a common view in the Southeast Asia country village. So basically, I came from a small village in the central Java. It's a Java Islands. So back then, my mom was hospital worker, also my dad, and sometimes they become very creative. And in our house, they built a pharmacy, the only pharmacy that in the village. And later, it transformed and it evolved to a small clinics, and it's also the only clinics in the village. And because it's very small, and our house was also very small, the patient room was actually just beside my bedroom. So every single night, I heard people like crying, and then some of them also like shout to death because like they're the suffering of painful disease that they had. And through the times, I start to realize that the importance of having a proper medical facilities in everywhere in the country, because like people will need those kind of facilities regardless of the geography, because like it is a life-saving facilities, something like that. And another inspirations that came up to me recently in later in life is that maybe everyone is also familiar with this, the scenery of public transportations in Southeast Asia. The On the left side, it's like jeepney, and the other hand is like metro mini or angkot in Indonesia. It's quite similar. The conditions, the pack, the people are packed inside the mobile, the public transportations. During one of my visits to Philippines, I think it's like 2011 or 2010, I met a guy. He got up to the jeepney, and then he then talked something in Tagalog to all of the passengers. I didn't know what he was saying, but at the end of at some points he pulled out the sheet of paper, and then I looked closer, and it's actually a medical record. So what he do is that basically he was trying to fundraise from other passengers for the medical expenses that his kids are bearing. So that's the case. I also see it in Indonesia, in public transport in Indonesia. So I think people need this kind of safety net in order to get the adequate treatments or facilities so that they can be treated well, and then they can have a good good facilities to take care of the healthcare. So, and the inspiration come here. The inspiration here is also people will also believe in this kind of way of a fundraise, because like he pulled out a sheet of paper that shows a reliability and transparency. So that's how and why we not doing it through online platform. By providing a good and well reliable and transparent system, people will be able to help each other. So that's what we basically do. We set up a crowdfunding platforms that is targeted specifically for medical treatments for patients all around Indonesia. We work with the hospitals in order to help them to submit their own patients and validate the data of the patients, and then help them to fundraise, because hospitals also struggling. If there is patients who cannot pay for the medical bills, they lose some portions of the revenue. So we also in some ways helping the medical healthcare providers to also raise funds for their patients. So during the past 2 or 3 years, we've been able to deliver more than 3 million USD donations from almost like 70,000 donors to a lot of 10,000 more beneficiaries. And why this is possible in Indonesia? Because like as you may see, Indonesia is like an archipelago countries. All of these healthcare facilities and decent infrastructures of healthcare are centered in Java Island. So basically, if you got sick in the red areas, which is a lot of big islands aside of Java Islands, it will be very difficult for you, or it will be very expensive for you to acquire a good healthcare, because you will be needed to be transported to a better facilities in Java Island. It costs you a lot of money, and it's not covered by national insurance. So like 30 to 40% of medical expenses are still out of pocket, and still we need like this alternative financing approach for people in order to obtain a good quality healthcare. And yep, and as you know, perhaps like most of the Southeast Asia country, I think we can be proud of ourselves, because like mostly we are friendly people and we're generous with each others. Like I see it also in other Southeast Asia countries as well, in Philippines and Myanmar and Singapore. People are relatively very kind. So people love to give, actually, to giving to each others, and then helping each others to solve the problems, something like that. Then speaking of the opportunity size, because like Indonesia is like Muslim countries, like 90 to 95% of Indonesians are Muslims, and people are very familiar with this concept of zakat or almsgiving, which is like mandatory in many communities. And there are a lot of unlocked opportunity in terms of almsgiving or zakat culture in Indonesia. The potential is like $15 billion, but currently the what we can still reach is around 1 billion. So there are a lot of opportunities that we can still unlock in terms of online donations or online giving. And then the financing gap in terms of medical needs is also very huge, especially for the out-of-pocket expense for the chronic diseases like cancer or stroke. That's something that sometimes the national insurance is cannot really cover everything, and it needs a lot of out-of-pocket contribution as well. So that's what we're trying to meet the demands and also the potentials. And that's what we do. We help the patients to raise funds and publish it in our website. And then the donors at the other side can donate as from as little as $1, even less than that. And also during the COVID-19, because we have connections and also the database of the medical providers across Indonesia, we've been able to help the medical providers also to help them raise funds for the COVID-19 donations, which is mostly PPEs and also other supplies of donations. We've been able to deliver for any, perhaps most of the locations in Indonesia, for around like 3,000 healthcare providers in Indonesia, with the support from a lot of donors, not only public, but also from the corporate donors as well. And yeah, there were a lot of interesting recognitions. One of them is from Barack Obama, which really boosts our morale and our spirit in order to do more for the society. And apart from the crowdfunding platform, we also do like small interventions in the community as well. We do a stunting program. We also help the medical facilities to complete their medical devices, because like we have connections to donors, so we donate some of the medical devices for the neediest healthcare providers across Indonesia, because we believe that by giving them a complete and good quality medical devices, they will be able to also improve their services. And this is just like a side effect on what we do, and we're happy that a lot of people support us and hope we can also support each other here through this Asia network, and we look forward to really collaborate with all of you. And we also aspire, and we actually aspire as a social enterprise. So perhaps you are wondering, are we a non-profit or are we a for-profit? We actually both. So we have non-profit, also a for-profit. Both are having their own roles and their own contributions in order to do our missions, which is like bringing a good quality of healthcare for everyone through innovative healthcare financing. And looking forward, we are exploring mutual aid program. Maybe we can talk later about that. And also, we want to help a small community, informal donation sectors, and also the patients to be able to manage their donation as well. So we develop also like software as services for donation management. And maybe this is like just a small wisdom that so far make me stay in WeCare. I think it's been really interesting journey. Met a lot of diverse type of people. One day you meet Barack Obama, but then another day you meet like people in the middle of nowhere in the Borneo. That's really a humbling experience that I encountered throughout my journey doing WeCare, and also it's kind of making me relevant in many diverse spectrum, from healthcare to nonprofit to social innovations, something like that. And like other entrepreneurs, it's always a journey to know myself, know ourselves deeper throughout this entrepreneurial journey. So that's all. Looking forward to discuss with you more, and please contact and reach me out if you find something that we can collaborate each other. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Gigih, for sharing with us how your crowdfunding platform enable poor and underserved patients to secure their individual funding for necessary medical treatments. We are welcoming now our second speaker from Singapore. Elle is a techpreneur based in Singapore. Her recent startup, MedHive, is an award-winning B2B digital marketplace that provides transparent, efficient, and cost-effective sourcing of medical supplies in developing markets. She is also a founding member of the Singapore Chamber of Commerce and ASEAN Responsible and Inclusive Business Alliance. Welcome, Elle. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Ravindra. All right, let me just, please let me know once you see this. Is it all good?
Excellent. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, so one thing that every one of us will experience in our lifetime is to need medical care. Whether that's in a hospital, in a clinic, or remote healthcare, we are all patients. Maybe not now, but you, me, and your loved ones are patients. And as patients, have you thought about the things that affect the cost of healthcare? So my name is Elle Kwan, and I'm the founder of healthtech startup MedHive. I am a Filipino based in Singapore. And with living in an advanced market comes some privileges, including a healthcare system that is effective and efficient. Systems are in place, treatments are available, costs are controlled, everything works. Now, healthcare frontliners, our heroes, especially in this pandemic, are of course a major part why this happens. But one big factor that allows the system to work efficiently and effectively, is technology. Now, unfortunately, this is not the case in most of the rest of Southeast Asia. Cost of healthcare is just much higher. In fact, Gigi's presentation earlier on WeCare ID, where you crowdfund for healthcare, it's because really healthcare cost is really high. In fact, in developing markets, hospitals and clinics tend to overpay by as much as 50%. And why is this? Because of these kinds of problems. So there's a visibility issue where the hospitals cannot really find what is available, and what is available more cheaper than the other things that they used to buy. There's also a very old, antiquated, analog process of buying things. And this is really inefficient and sometimes prone to fraud. As well, there is limited access to innovative, quality, and better priced life-saving medical supplies. So these three problems, visibility, old process, and access, bring up the cost of medical supplies or procuring medical supplies by as much as 50%. And this makes healthcare more expensive in hospitals and for majority of the population. So this is really why I got together with my co-founders, and we discussed and really decided that we can do something about it. And technology can be one thing where we can help change what is happening. And so we had to find out how we will test our hypothesis, which is how can we make healthcare slightly better in terms of cost by using technology. So this is a problem that is not only in the Philippines, where I'm originally from. This is a problem that is being faced by developing nations, developing markets worldwide. So we've chosen to test our product or pilot it in Philippines. And really the reason is because we have local ground connections, we have experience, we have partnerships with association. And this is really where MedHive was born. So MedHive, we like to call it the future of medical procurement. We are a B2B digital medical supplies marketplace where hospitals and clinics can easily browse the products that they're looking for, get quotes from different vendors, compare and choose the best offer, place their order, pay conveniently, and get their products delivered. So these are some of the existing buyers that we are working with currently in the Philippines. We are working closely with the Private Hospital Association of the Philippines and another association, Healthcare Executive Society of the Philippines. We are also serving one of the biggest hospital chain in the country, Mount Grace Hospitals, and you can see here several other hospital and clinic chains that have already trusted MedHive. This is from the buyer side. Now, on the seller side, as a marketplace, we need to have both of these present. We are very proud to partner with big brands like Johnson & Johnson, the world's biggest healthcare company. They have actually chosen us to be their first digital partner for the medical device that is in the region. So we're not talking about consumer items, we're talking about medical supplies, medical device, primarily sutures. MedHive is also the partner in the Philippines for Omron, Japanese brand, biggest blood pressure company in the world. So we are their web store in the country. And recently we've also partnered with a US brand called Diversey, which is a leading hygiene company more in the hospitality industry, but they'd like to make headways in the healthcare industry and have decided to partner with MedHive. So aside from these big brands, we've also worked with some of these logos that you see. Some of them are international, and most of them are local distributors carrying medical supplies, pharma, and consumables. And in terms of partnering, we are also very happy to partner with these companies, both in the delivery side. So we work with 3PLs and the payment side. And we've also had strategic partnerships with different organizations, one of which is our friend who will be presenting later. All right. So MedHive, as I said earlier, is not just, our eyes are not just set on one market. We have prepared to be international at the very beginning, and this is why we have an international board of advisors that are working with us to position ourselves well once we are ready to go in different markets. Recently, we have several accomplishments that I'd like to share with you, and this is also a testament of partnerships that we're working on. MedHive won the pitch competition that was sponsored by Merck, the pharma. So Merck is a big pharma, with presence globally, and we have been the grand winner for that pitch. So this means that we will have ongoing discussions with them on how we can best partner, on what's the best model to partner with a big pharma like Merck. And also, just last month, we had the privilege of joining Kalbe Pharma Indonesia in their national national sales convention, where the chairman of Kalbe Pharma, Ira, have highlighted MedHive as an example of innovation in digital health, and something that Indonesia will be able to see very soon. We've also just announced our recent pre-seed round, funding round, which was oversubscribed. These are my co-founders, very young and energetic, talented people. Nigel is handling our operations, and Gab is our CTO, who handles everything tech. All right, so we are talking about tech for good, and I'm very privileged that I'm here joining these gentlemen on our virtual stage. And in MedHive, we do not forget that we are part of a community. That's why we try to also give back to the community. Even before the COVID pandemic hit, we were already doing some part in making our contribution in the local community. This happened back in 2020. There was a volcano eruption, or a volcanic eruption in Taal, and they needed N95 masks. So industrial grade masks were needed back then, and we were able to help provide these industrial grade, healthcare grade masks to the community that was affected with the volcanic eruption. Aside from that, because the Philippines is situated in an area where there's so many natural calamities that visit it yearly. So typhoon is a regular occurrence. We also send help to typhoon victims. This was back in 2020, 2021. Strong typhoons named Ulysses and Raleigh hit the country, and we were able to send some medical supplies as well. All right. And recently, this is something that I also wanted to share to the audience. A very strong typhoon hit the southern part of the country. This was a typhoon Odette, and it affected so many families. We had the privilege of sending help as well, and we're calling this initiative MedHive Cares. So we are not just a business. I think this is one of the things that we need to always remember. As a startup, as a business, as a company that uses technology, we need to remember that we always need to use it for good. So we are MedHive, and what we want to do is bring down the cost of healthcare in developing markets, make medical supplies procurement more efficient, and provide access to healthcare to the population. So with that, I'm going to leave you with a video, which we have curated, and this is really from the recent outreach that we did in Siargao.
you with hype. With hype, with hype. Thank you with hype company sa tulong.
Thank you.
Thanks, Elle, for sharing this wonderful video of hope and also sharing with us how AI-driven health tech can disrupt the way hospitals and clinics work in emerging markets, procuring medical supplies. Let me introduce now to our last and final speakers from the Philippines. Martin Gomez is the CEO and co-founder of Dashlabs.ai. Prior to that, he spent a decade at IBM in multiple roles and geographies, including responsibilities at its global corporate headquarters. Martin has taught in school and universities and continues to provide mentorship for those who seek it. Martin is also a fellow of the Royal Society of Art in the UK and is an alumnus for the University of Oxford. Welcome, Martin. The floor is yours.
Hey, thank you so much, Ravindra. Just a slight correction. I'm COO.
CEO, yeah, sorry, CEO for yeah.
No worries. Thank you. I don't want to get fired by our CEO. So, thank you so much. Let me just quickly run through a presentation on how our views are with respect to the possibility of accelerating access to quality healthcare, especially in this part of the world, right? We'll tell you more about what we do, what we've done, as well as what we think we can do together in order for us to be able to move forward. So that said, what do we do? Dashlabs.ai, we basically automate labs and we look to simplify healthcare. That means what? We empower labs and to address gaps in efficiency, quality, and access to healthcare through data. So that is the big picture overview of what we do, right? In a sense, why do we empower labs? Because we see labs as the forefront or the first step in which you actually get healthcare data for what you want to know about a person's health status, right? So how do we do this? We actually provide the world's first DIY end-to-end lab software that enables labs to build seamless information infrastructure and automate manual processes all in one easy integrated platform. This means that because this is a cloud solution, we are able to be very, very flexible in terms of infrastructure implementation as well as in terms of deployment, right? It means that we are able to actually deploy these healthcare infrastructure solutions anytime, anywhere, on any device. And when we say anywhere, we have actually been to the middle of the ocean, we have been to the farm fields, we have been to the mountains and to the mines to actually deploy healthcare testing, right? For people to actually understand what their health status would be are, and so that they can be addressed more better than just a doctor going to visit the different villages with a stethoscope and not really having the diagnostic tools to find out what the real status is. So that said, why did we start doing this? We started doing this because of the pandemic, right? We started with COVID, and we noticed that a lot of people were basically getting stuck in the airports because of manual processes, like the picture that you see in the left, right? That you still have a lot of paper forms. You have these, tests that are carried in boxes in paper by the kilos from one location to another, sometimes even truckloads, right? And that's pretty inefficient, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're gonna want to know the health status of an entire community, uh, you won't be able to do so if you don't have the proper operations process as well as technology to be able to actually implement that. So what did we do? We actually we went guerrilla mode, right? We did what every I would say Asian would be very much capable of. Is that we rolled up our sleeves and we went to the quote unquote battle scene. So this is the Manila International Airport, or the Ninoy Aquino International Airport, which has 3 terminals and millions of passengers going in and out on a daily basis. And we set up shop there, right? And we from there, because we were observing what was actually going on, we were developing systems right there and then, and implementing the process changes on site in order for them to be able to adjust and to be able to actually experience the enhancements in the in a live situation. So this is as you can see, one of my co-founders, Weston, is orienting the Philippine Coast Guard for this on how to do the deployments. Now, this is for COVID testing for incoming passengers. We have also expanded to non-COVID, where in the Philippines we have this thing called annual physical exam or annual medical exams, where workers would actually need to pass a health check in order for them to be able to continue their employment, right? So, as you can see, there's a urine collection tray there. The reason why there's a smartphone is because they scan a QR code, and each station that they go to in a physical exam, including urinalysis, fecalysis, hematology, complete blood count, and quite a number of other usual laboratory tests, we essentially digitize that entire operations. And as you can see, this is not in a fancy, classy hospital or laboratory. This is in an actual field where you bring healthcare to the people, and you don't require the people to go to all these fancy buildings anymore, right? So that you're able to democratize and provide better access to healthcare itself. So as I said a while ago, industrial settings, farm settings, been there, done that, right? In fact, there are some laboratory machines that were quite old. So what we did was to actually even develop hardware to be able to connect to these laboratory machines, so that the data input and output, right, would be in an automated fashion, so that would save people a lot of time. So going back to the airport, this process, right? Before we came in, each passenger would have to spend around 6 or 7 or even 10 hours in the airport because of the manual processes. When we came in and implemented Dashlabs, it was cut short to 1 hour from plane to exit. And then in order for them to be able to actually be released from the quarantine facility, they used to take around weeks to even months, basically imprisoned in the quarantine facility. And we shortened that to a couple of hours, right? So that they could actually go home to their families, go home to their loved ones, in order for them to be able to continue their lives. All right. So that said, our value prop is we employ smart agents. Essentially, our backend engine, our platform would have artificial intelligence modules that would enable doctors and lab technicians to not have to manually read and input the results anymore because that is provided by the machine. All they have to do is to validate and verify that that is correct, and then sign off, and then the results are released. So that shortens a lot of manual processes, right? And then we also, of course, need to employ world-class data security and global standards such as HIPAA, ISO, SOC, GPDR, and of course our very, very strict Data Privacy Act in the Philippines of 2012. So that said, we were able to actually build a very, very trusted network of clients, of partners, of investors as well. Recently, we're part of the Y Combinator winter batch of 2021, and they just posted a few hours ago about our recent fundraise, right? Which we're very happy about. And one of our investors is ADB Ventures. ADB Ventures, the reason why this is significant is because they do not just invest for financial reasons, right? They invest because they actually certify that the venture that they are investing in is addressing the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So that said, that's basically a testament that we're hopefully doing something good and right for the world, right? So yeah, we are looking to partner with institutions and people across Asia and beyond. If you are interested in implementing Dashlabs in your own community, please do reach out to me. Let's find something. I'm sure that you're listening to this talk because you're interested in doing health and tech for good. So thank you again, Ravindra, for organizing this. We are more than happy to make this a reality in your own community. So please do reach out, and thank you.
Thanks, Martin, for sharing how Dashlabs.ai is providing the world's first lab software with a focus on emerging markets with a significant result of more than 5 million tests and 15 lab networks. Now it's time for Q&A sessions. So I will start with my first questions to all the guest speakers today. Public and private sector must collaborate on the technology and subsidies needed to make patient-centric care a reality. What are your thought on that? Perhaps in your respective countries or on a bigger pictures in Asia. Perhaps Elle want to kick off first.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Maybe so. As I mentioned previously, I am based in Singapore. That's why I see a very different healthcare system. So in Singapore, there are so many examples of PPPs in healthcare. Something very similar to what Martin and Dashlabs is doing has been done here in Singapore when COVID came. The private clinics and hospital chains have been called to support testing in entry points. So that's the causeway, the land entry point, Malaysia, Singapore, and the airports as well, and of course the ports, the water access, which is really from Indonesia to Singapore. So that's probably one example that's very recent here. But so let me also just give you an example on how important it is for government to also partner and support initiatives like us. So for MedHive, we have received last year a grant from the Department of Science and Technology to strengthen our AI capabilities. So this is something that we are currently working on, and it's something that we would like to implement and get the hospitals and the clinic buyers to benefit from AI-driven suggestions and recommendations. So that's one that we are currently working on, and I think it's something that will obviously make our niche medical supplies procurement easier for our buyers. So I think this is something that we should always look forward to. we should ask. This is one thing that I've observed in startups are sometimes not very aggressive in asking on what they need, and there could be very many reasons why that happens. But I think we should start asking. We need help in this area, and a PPP might be the way. It might not be the only way, but it should be something that we should be offering as option for growth and expansion.
Thank you, Elle. How about you, Gigih?
I think in Indonesia right now, we are on the beginning to undergo hopefully a very significant revolution in terms of our healthcare public services. Our current Ministry of Health, now they initiated something that this is the first time the Minister of Health ever doing this. They now have this called Digital Transformation Office in the Health Minister. So this is a task force that we hope will be able to really digitize the healthcare system in Indonesia, because now like 80% of the healthcare providers are not digitized, and it creates lots of like fragmentations, not standardized data, and there's a lot of collaborations that is difficult to be done because of these fragmentations, and that's what this task force is currently doing. And it's also the beginning of the simplifying because like now there are a lot of applications. Actually, there are a lot of government built applications, whether it's in the local districts or in the national levels, on the province level. Now the vision is also to only really make only one citizen app. So this is called like citizen health app, which will be able to like become our only applications for everything related to healthcare. But they also they do not want it to be like the competitors. So that's something that's really, I think, is brilliant. They don't want to be the player. They don't want to be one of the players in the healthcare industry. They want to enable the collaboration. So a part of the health citizen application, they also create this like a perhaps like an API or like a microservice where everyone can, or healthcare players like us, we can fit in each other's with the data. So it will be enabled. So what do is that the standardization of the data. So we can just follow the regulations and also the standards, so that we can match everything that we get from our beneficiaries or from our patients or from our users to fit in to the national level. So that's maybe enable a good collaborations in the future. So we're looking forward this system to be really able to work perhaps in the 2024 during the next elections.
Thank you, Gigih, for that. How about you, Martin?
Sure, thank you. Yeah, so we actually started by being a public-private partnership. So before we became Dashlabs.ai, the startup, right? We started as a volunteer effort, and from the volunteer effort, we became I would say a private, nonprofit, and government partnership, right? And that enabled us to build this thing called Laging Handa, right? Which is actually the COVID-19 dashboard of the Philippines. This is the national COVID-19 dashboard. So we built this before we even became a business, a startup, right? And the only reason why we became a business is because we wanted to become sustainable financially, right? In order for us to be able to continue all our operations. So that said, I am a big believer in public-private partnership, because I feel that with the blended capital and with the blended finance that it affords, such as what Gigih earlier showed, right, in his wonderful presentation, it's really the way to go, right? Gone are the days where you have exclusivity in what public is, what private is, what non-profit is, what commercial is, right? So yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin, for that. I think before we end the session, I have a very great question from the participants. Brinda Lashkari, who is a policy associate, and she asked to you, what are the data privacy compliance issue you all face, and any particular way you have to manage the privacy law compliance. Who want to answer to her question first? Okay, Martin, please go ahead.
Okay. I'll volunteer. One of the things that I presented earlier, right, was that we actually do subscribe to global standards, right, such as GDPR, SOC, ISO, HIPAA, as well as the California privacy law. So I think that as long as your organization, your startup, would be aligned towards these globally accepted data privacy practices and standards, then you should be okay, right? At the end of the day, the rules apply, right, across all the different organizations. A data subject is a data subject, a data owner is a data owner, a data processor is a data processor. So each of these have been clearly defined, and even if you go from one country to another, these are common terms that different countries and different jurisdictions actually share. So I think it's a good practice to be able to do that. But of course, whenever you're in a certain jurisdiction, make sure that you also subscribe and follow to policies that are specific to that jurisdiction. It's just an extra step to be able to actually conform with international standards as well.
Thank you, Martin. Perhaps Elle and Gigih, before we end the session, a brief answer to her question.
Okay, so very brief.
Yes, please.
As a B2B company, we do not process patient data, medical records. So the data that we gather is really our transaction records. And from there, that's what we intend to use, the trends, the data analytics that will come out of that. And when we release the results, the data will be blinded. No one knows which hospital is doing what. These are just the trends that we'll be showing. But we do have a data protection officer to make sure that we are updated on what the policies that need to be checked and ticked. So yeah.
Thank you, Elle. Gigih?
Yep. For us, because we are a crowdfunding platform, we have to publish a lot of data, like the patient's stories, and then how much they need, and what's the patient suffering from, and for that we collect the data, and also we have this like a consent letter from the patient. So whatever we publish on our website, it's already been permitted by the patients. And if it's also published by hospitals, we also make sure that the hospitals already communicated with the patients, so that they don't mind if we publish some of the perhaps sometimes also documents that's already been permitted by the patient. So that's how we deal with the data and privacy.
Thanks, Gigih. Before we end this session, I just want to share one comment from the participant from Mara, Vietnam, Mr. Shanmuga Retnam. He finds this session very inspiring, and he said that if we can continue with more bottom-up initiatives that are demand responsive. So I found very relevant to share with you, and he found that session very inspiring. Thanks to you and to all guest speakers. So thanks again, Elle, Martin, and Gigih for these engaging conversations, and also to all participants today and our sponsor area, the Economic Research Institute for ASEAN and East Asia. Thanks all again, and see you next time. Thank you.